This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, where we help women remove the overwhelm of living their most holistic life. This is the place to find evidence-based nutrition tactics, healthy lifestyle and wellness tips, abundance mindset, and easily implementable low-tox living strategies so you can rise up to your full potential and protect your family's health. I'm your host, Ace Ohana, certified holistic nutritionist and better living advocate. Now, let's get empowered with some simple swaps that make a big impact for optimal wellness.
Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast. It is episode 69, and it is with my friend, Mindie Adamos. It is always such an honor to talk to a friend that I can relate to in terms of religion, spirituality, intuition, and the deep thoughts that really go on in my mind, and she totally understands. I think that you are going to find so much value and inspiration from this talk. But let me tell you first a little bit about Mindie. Mindie is first a wife. She's a mama to their son, Ace Ohana, friend and daughter who is deeply connected to her purpose through God. She's a natural-born professional shaman, spiritual leader, psychic, medium, and beyond now living in her hometown state of Iowa. Mindie knew at a very young age that she experienced the world differently than others. She pushed down her gifts until her life put her on an incredible, touching path with her father-in-law, who is now in spirit. She knew she could either continue to bury her gifts or take a leap of faith into her purpose. She was being called to explore her prophetic gifts between spirituality and physical worlds. It's now been a 12+ year journey that, while was not always easy, it's been absolutely worth it. Mindie's gifts have always been 100% natural and guided by loving spirit, God, Jesus, and angels. Her healing gifts expanded greatly after the passing of her father in 2016, where she began the incredible awakening of her gifts as a shaman. Those gifts only heightened her abilities as a professional psychic medium and blended the two, which offered life-changing healing miracles for many, most of which were done through distant healing sessions. For 12+ years now, Mindie's clients around the world share testimony of incredible peace, life-changing healing, awakening, joy, alignment, specific and accurate messages, and miracles. You have to experience the love of spirit to fully comprehend what gifts Mindie has been assigned in this lifetime. After traveling across the United States and spreading messages of hope and healing, Mindie continues to be amazed at the stories and hearts healed through events, group readings, and one-on-one session teachings. Her motto is Live Pano. I cannot wait for you to hear this episode. If you love it, please tag me and give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast episode on. Message me, message Mindie, let me know what you think, and be well. I'll see you on the other side. Mindie Adamos, welcome to the Urban Pharmacy Podcast, my friend.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It has been a journey for us to finally connect, and I'm super excited that our energy has collided this morning.
I've been anxiously but excited to have it finally come together, because I think it's been a wild. I think we had reconnected in 2021, and then just with all the things. But I was just thinking back about how we met years ago. So it's so good.
Yes, the clean beauty world. It brings a lot of people together, and I'm very thankful for it. So, okay, Mindie, you are somebody that I kind of look to as, I don't want to say I idolize people, but you are somebody that inspires me very, very much. And I find you a very intriguing human being and a very motivating woman. And I think that your power is really, really big. And you might say it's your power. You might say it's somebody else's power after we get through this podcast episode. But before we dig into all of the insight that you have and the wisdom that you have, tell me a little bit about what you do and how you impact people.
Oh gosh. So, it's a big journey, Stacey, to be honest. So I'll give you the snapshot overview and then everybody can dig in a little deeper on their own intention. But so by title, I am a professional shaman and spiritual leader, including psychic medium. Don't let any titles shift any energy other than listening with an open mind and an open heart. I have been professional in this journey since December 25th, 2010. My journey really awakened to the world. Prior to that, no one really knew, not even my own parents, what my abilities were to the fullest extent that they were. And to be honest, I didn't really either in the way that I now know after doing this professionally. I do everything from channeling, small group readings, one-on-ones, large group readings, or we even call them like gallery readings, where I would be in spaces and venues of several hundred people, up to 2,000 persons was my largest event. And I channel healing messages from spirit, but the way in which I do that is a very non-traditional way, and it's very unique in the sense of the message are so specific and accurate and healing from a different space of channeling, which is from the soul level. I'm sure we'll talk more about what that means. And then as a shaman, so connected to the land and to the spiritual galactic realms by way of healing. Energy healing is a term that most people would probably be a little bit familiar with. But my gifts go extensive beyond what most people, and I'm just now in a space in the last 2 or 3 years to really talk about this more openly, but Stacey, I've been involved in miracles, people pronounced dead, end of life, and coming back to life, and having experienced Jesus, Mother Mary, and myself as part of that healing transition back here to the earth plane. Babies and clear through more mature folks at the end of life. So the energy healing is sort of one whole bucket in itself. But the psychic part of it, the all-knowing part of it, comes through because it's so specific and accurate in what's going on. So you may find me one week teaching a class online, tonight doing one-on-one in-person sessions. I also do executive coaching. So my gifts expand to those that really want to find their inner truths and how can they do that and maybe make a living or connect further into their purpose or calling, as we say it here on earth. So really what I do is pretty broad. But I'm an advocate for God and spirit and authenticity in everything that I do. It threads through all the fabrics of my Ohana. And I've been blessed with some pretty incredible gifts in this particular lifetime and what I've chosen. But I'm also here to make sure that everybody understands that we're actually all gifted. And when you really start to tap into your lifetime's purpose and calling, you will have some innate gifts that you will be so thankful you opened up and connected to God in this way. Yeah. So it's a profound journey.
So you mention God a lot, and I want to clear this thought process right now for people, and maybe bring them to some peace, because I think that a lot of people don't understand, or maybe they just don't know. So I think that it would be awesome if you could clarify, like, can Christianity and religion coexist with intuition? I try to explain to women about tapping into their intuition. And I have had some comments like, well, like, that's just God. It's like, it's not you, it's God. So can you explain like how these can coexist and how you teach?
Yeah. So this is, I just got goosies for those that know, goosebumps. Those are the moments of confirmation for all of us. And this is actually where I spend a lot of my time, Stacey. So while I'm very comfortable in it, it's a journey in itself. But I will say this, anything that you follow and read in my path, it is God. So I channel the soul, for example. So that is the higher part, our God, Christ-like version of who we are inside, the soul, the eternal part of who we are. And that's very different than me like reading your palm. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying I don't do any of that stuff. It is me and God and angels and spirit animals and all the things. But when we even break down, so let me back up. When this first came to my journey, I've always been connected to God, and I've always had a very special connection to Jesus, although I did not grow up in the church, not at all. Dabbled a little bit here and there. My parents were not, we were baptized, but we didn't go to church regularly. I sort of spent time with cousins at a church and explored some things with my mom. So I don't come from any organized anything other than I was a little farm girl in Iowa, and I had a really big spirit and a really big vocabulary very young. So I don't come from organized anything. But God came to me and said, when my gifts really opened up, I have very specific messages that I know was from a very loving and a very guided God, a very accountable God, but a very guided and peaceful and loving God who said, I created humanity. I created man. Man created religion. That statement in itself is not bad, wrong, or horrible. It's called evolution, right? And so when I started exploring this in my work for myself, let alone those I was working with, it was always very clear that when you really get intuitive and you feel through your intuition what feels good to you and what doesn't feel good to you, I am very connected to religion. In fact, you will see me saying the divide between spirituality and religion is mind control in my experience. Anything that separates to repin people against each other is not of the God that I channel. It would never be that. And so if feeling the title of Christian or Christianity or Catholic feels good to you, then you and I can walk down paths of why that feels good to you. For example, the rosary. So not born again Catholic, my husband is, his family, I'm around a lot of energy regarding Mother Mary and the saints and the rosary. They do help guide me very clearly. I know the good from the not so good. I can feel that. And this has taken a lot of practice, obviously. But doing what feels really good from your heart cannot be put through a filter of anybody else, meaning good or bad. It is truly between your heart's expansion and God. And when you get to know and trust that, nobody can shake my faith. Mm-hmm. Nobody can tell me. And God keeps sort of joking with me that it seems like an awful joke. And I've had some hard times with it at times, even using the word psychic. Mm-hmm. But by definition, connecting to energy outside of our regular five senses is what I do every single day. And actually what you do and what, dad down the street does and what the teacher and what the gardener does, everybody's using this intuitive, this innate, high vibrational, all-knowing aspect of ourselves. But it is Christ consciousness. It is God. It's a throughness. It is a oneness. Okay. So when we start to put the divide into, let's say, for example, spirituality, there's an aspect of us that you'll hear me talk about our many bodies. Okay. So mind, body, spirit. We have energy bodies. We have cellular memory bodies. Now, this is whether you're science or not science. These things can be looked into and processed through your own heart. And then you can go to, I believe it's Ephesians sort of like 1-4. And there's going to be some talk about this spiritual connection, this energy connection. I also sort of joke, Stacey, on the side that my God has a very big sense of humor, that everybody who channeled in the Bible were prophets. It was prophetic. So when God came to me and told me that I would be a prophetic channel, I didn't know psychics, mediums. I had never even been to one before my gifts opened. It was not something I was ever attracted to. It was not around me as a child or even a young adult. And so prophetic is a term used in the Bible space, but But every single person, every single day of their life, I can give you examples of where you're prophetic, particularly in business, particularly in moms and in parenting. And so these are just terms that I do believe out of fear over time have accumulated to push a divide. But it's not it needed to happen. Does that make sense? It needed to happen because here's what else was happening in this. People were weaponizing these spiritual gifts and turning them into control, which is what we often hear in the realms of psychics and mediums. So here's my total, how I'm going to sum this little segment up. If you came to me, Stacey, and you said, gosh, Mindie, I'd really like to become a psychic. I'm going to send you somewhere else. I am not going to be the person who's going to develop you as a psychic or a medium. That's not what God's put me on earth to do. In fact, I do have a sense of humor, and where it says in the Bible to run from psychics and mediums, I do have to have a sense of humor about it. And I will tell you to not go down that path. And here's why. There is a lot. It's no different than going to a mechanic. It's no different than going to a restaurant. Word of mouth referral and purpose and intention and innate prophetic wisdom is in all of us. And it is a space, though, that has been hijacked, and it is being used, I believe, for more sinister or low vibrational purpose. Take the titles away from it, and I will still tell you, be careful, because who you let into your energy. God used to always say to me, Mindie, don't give anybody your digits. I didn't really understand that. This was 10 years ago. And now what I understand about numerology and my blueprint, my sacred blueprint that is between me and God, I don't give anybody my digits, which is like your birth date and time. Okay. You got to be very intuitive about who you're letting in. But I could literally lay the same conversation over a mechanic's conversation and who's working on your car. You know, it's a vehicle, right? And God gives us that wisdom. But there is, I would say 70% of the people I've worked with in this earth experience all over the globe are those recovering from religious and spiritual separations, meaning in some point in their journey, they've either been hurt or harmed or held back or felt like they were harmed or held back in spaces of religion. And I bring people back to God. And I prescribe church to people, and I prescribe the rosary to people. I tell people to read the Bible. I also tell people that are really, really scared to go back into the Bible that you abandoned God when you abandoned the church. And what I've said numerous times is church is not going away, Stacey, but it will shift. And when I say shift, it doesn't mean this all neutral, we're all just going to be non-denominational beings running around earth. I will actually tell you that there is a sacredness and a specialness about diversity within the church. And there is a sacredness and an intuitive hug that comes when you go sit in that pew when you haven't been there in a long time. For some people, repenting feels like this big, awful, harsh word. I tell people to repent often. It's a word that is familiar to surrendering and releasing without carrying guilt and shame. And so you will hear me using those terms. You will hear me imploring people to dig a little deeper as to why they left the church or to why they're in the church, but they don't quite feel like they belong. So it's a big topic. But you can see through testimony that I bring people back to God and back to faith. And there's never going to be a rigidness. But if you said, Mindie, are you spiritual or religious? I would say both. And that's what makes this journey for all of us intuitives and those of us that are sensitive to energy and being called to different purposes. We can all be under the same roof. It can all weave together. And it's mind-blowing how powerful our God is. And the Bible was one of the tools that God brought back into my life. I would say that got me through some of my deepest transitions. And so why would I not share that with the world?
Absolutely. That I think is why I am so drawn to you, because I don't feel like there's no divide with you. It is cohesive. It is oneness. It is love. And it all it all can exist together. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Mindie.
Yeah.
Hey, mama, I know how you feel. I felt the same way too. Overwhelmed, wanting to live a more holistic lifestyle, wanting to prioritize myself, right? But guess what? You don't have to suffer anymore. I have a breakthrough for you, and it's coming on May 16th. Holistic Breakthrough Live is back, and it's just for you, mama. It's just for you so that you can start living your life in the way that you envision it, and you can create the health that you truly want and deserve. I want you to set yourself up for success with feasible lifestyle shifts, and it's all happening during this breakthrough week. From May 16th to May 20th, you can join me live in my private Facebook group for 5 days of inspiration, education, and quite frankly, an amazing community. What you're gonna learn are key components that are gonna help you create clarity toward your most holistic life. You're gonna learn how to define your story and why it impacts your daily health decisions. You're gonna learn how to implement a plant-based lifestyle, or at least start eating more plants. You're gonna learn how to reduce your toxic load and how to set yourself up for success in terms of your environment. And finally, you're gonna have a better vision for the steps that you need to take to become the most healthy and up-leveled you. I know that you're tired of feeling overwhelmed, and I know that you're tired of putting yourself last. This week is gonna help change all of that for you. So I'm asking for you to show up with the energy that you want and that you want to share with the world. Whether it's gaining more confidence, your long-term health, being more eco-friendly, or keeping your body and your family safe, this week will be game-changing. So if you're in, just click the link down in the show notes to join Holistic Breakthrough Live, and I will see you there. Are you coming? Okay, so you talked about a little bit about entrepreneurs, and then you also talked a little bit about intuitiveness. And I think that I definitely want to talk about both today. But let's tap into the intuitive side first, because I think a lot of people think intuition means different things. Like, to me, Mindie, intuition means I am following the voices. That might sound weird to some people. I am following the nudges, my gut, my heart, the feelings that I get energetically around certain situations and certain topics that I feel called to share, or I feel called to teach. That is, to me, what using my intuition means. And I do feel, ever since a very young age, and I've known my husband for, I don't know, since 2005, for a long time now, I've told him, please just trust my intuition. And over and over and over again, he has said, like, no to this, or yes to this, and or no to this. And there's like right away, it's like not good. And I'm like, please trust me. Like, not to say that I'm all knowing or that I'm always right, but there's specific times in life that I do feel a super strong intuitive feeling. So, and like you said, I think that some people feel that more than others. So for those that want to understand more about intuition, what can you help us? How can you help us do that?
Yeah. So this is so good. And I want to just reiterate that everything you just circled into that one point of attraction is the nudges, the whispers, the dreams, the just, I don't know where it's coming from, but it's so strong that I can't walk in that room. Or the little subtleties that then group up over time that are like signs and symbols, but could feel like synchronicities, or even the big C word, which is coincidences, right? Mm-hmm. So even in your intuitive strengths and alignments, there's going to be little question marks along the way. All of that is intuition. And this is where I joke around, Stacey, like, you know what? We could all be wrong, right? We could all be wrong in this. Intuition could be something else entirely. But here's my rule of thumb in everything I do. The God that I know through my own personal journey is unconditional love and conditional love to some degree. It's just love. It's pure love. It doesn't mean there's not boundaries. It doesn't mean there's not hardships. God to me is literally, you're never going to be alone. That's the promise. And we could be all wrong with this. We could, but here's what I know for sure. When you trust all of those things in which you just described over time, you feel really good. And when you don't trust it, you don't feel awesome. And that can be on a small scale to a tummy ache, to a little bit of like a head thing, to a spiritual timeout when you're got a busted ankle or you're in the hospital or something else. So everything I do is based on how we feel. So I also say, I don't tell you as a client or a friend or as an influence in this earth experience that you're broken or busted. I don't believe in any of that. I also don't tell you need to be healed. What I'm doing is I'm reading based on how you feel. I'm able to scan that energy body, those bodies that you can't see, but that you feel every day. And I can show you and validate those experiences for you. But when you trust your intuition and you have those knowings and you practice that, you feel really good. Now, feeling really good you have to practice it. Let's say, for example, you get an intuitive nudge that someone in your family is going to pass away. This is obviously one that I deal with often, or in parenting. You may have to have a difficult conversation. So that in itself doesn't necessarily feel awesome. But after you're done, you're like, I wish I had done that 10 years ago, or I wish I had made that change 3 months ago, or I wish I had just called them up and made mention of it. So we may not know the true definition of intuition in this earth plane. I don't even waste time, energy, or thoughts discussing that part, really. I come back to, how do you feel? And just like that little example, when you're working with your husband and you get that sharp pull that it is so this, it doesn't mean right or wrong, because there's no such thing as right or wrong. What it means is you're in tune with the vibration that's leading you down that path. And there are greater reasons outside of me and you that you're being pulled that direction. So we have to trust those. If we really do Jesus take the wheel our lives, and I recommend it because surrender is one of the most expansive spaces on earth. When you surrender, you will be guided. And everybody's experienced this on some level. You would not be incarnated here in this particular earth experience if you didn't have strong natural intuition. And but how you feel and how you trust that is critical to how you feel. So it's not even a right or wrong. Does that make sense? It's not whether your intuition is right and husband's is wrong.
Yeah.
It's a co-creation of where you're both headed and who's going to trust those whispers and those nudges, or in some cases, those wake you up out of bed and you're panting literally. And so it could be a very, exciting experience intuitively, or it could be a very heavy where your heart is gripping and expanding. So I typically outline 3 things to sort of, if you're in an intuition, trusting your intuition 101 with me or spirit or anybody in any of my courses, these are sort of the 3 things. So I was going to highlight those for you.
Yeah.
And then of course, all the questions are good. So we're going to talk about entrepreneurship as sort of a +1 to this. So one is decluttering. So we are so programmed into instant gratification. When I say this, nobody is surprised that we're inundated with technology. We're inundated with chemicals. We're inundated with ABC to-do list and self-responsibilities as parents and as entrepreneurs, as husbands and wives, and as Ohana. So decluttering the mind and the heart is step 1. This could be an activity that you do and will do for the rest of your life, but I'll give you a couple of tips. People can jot these down. Decluttering your mind and heart has to happen because everything that is in the mind is a recycle bin. So it's every thought, feeling, emotion, action, behavior in this lifetime and in other lifetimes, PS, that is programmed into that mindset. So in order to get new in, you have to declutter and make space. So it's like, if this cup is full, I would have to empty it out or drink out some of it to put anything new in it. It's a pretty basic concept, but it's very overwhelming for intuitives. Declutter the mind and heart. You can do this through breath work. This is just 2 to 3 minutes of just sitting back in your chair. You don't even have to do any fancy breath work technique. Just you and you breathing and noticing the sound of your breath going and flowing through your body. The second is a brain dump for journaling. So in order to really get at the subconscious level, handwriting in your own handwriting is critical for that release, for the pulling out. So again, we're on empty mode. We are breathing to declutter. We're now going to do what's called a brain dump. So maybe you wake up first thing in the morning and you give yourself 5 minutes to just write anything and everything that's going on in your mind. It doesn't have to be organized. It can be a hot mess express. The purpose is to get it out of you. This will be very effective for my entrepreneurs and intuitives to also balance. You could do that before you go to bed at night as well. 5 minutes, just anything and everything that's on your heart. So breath work, a brain dump. And then the third and most powerful, and the one that we deprive ourselves of the most, is intentional time on the Aina. And that is outside amongst our animal kingdom and our tree kingdom. Mm-hmm. So the most powerful healer God has gifted us is the land. Even at its current state and evolution of the land, being on the Aina, just barefoot or just breathing in the air or observing a tree or a bird or the animal world is incredibly powerful. So those 3 activities at a minimum literally cost you nothing but a little bit of time, which is what we're all most deprived of. And it can start to declutter the brain. When you declutter the brain, slow this down, you innately, our bodies are so wise, innately the heart opens. So one of the purposes in my incarnation is to help you expand your heart by slowing down the mind. No small feat. Okay. Mm-hmm. Opening the heart, slowing down the mind, and remembering that the ego is not all bad. It's there to protect us, but we're operating from recycle bins. That is why you're not trusting your intuition, is because you're just operating from past experiences only. So we got to get the new. The second, okay, so I'm giving you sub bullets within the declutter. So declutter is breath, brain, and then getting out on the Aina. The second one is going to be call to action with spirit. You have to start engaging with this beautiful, miraculous world called synchronicities, signs, and symbols. So that's numerology. That is animal spirits. That is, you got an email from someone you were just thinking about. Wow, that's such a coincidence, right? Or someone has come back into your path, or you're at the grocery store and you connect with someone. But we live in a free will planet, Stacey, so we have to call to action. So in order for you to get into the path of trusting your innate wisdom, your intuition, you have to practice free will, which is call to action with God. So trusting and knowing that when you say, show me a sign, show me a symbol, give me clarity that I'm making the right decision, this is co-creation at its finest, okay? So this helps with confirmation. There's spirit numbers like numerology. Have you ever seen license plates, Stacey, or have you had it where you've seen like a date of birth or your favorite number showing up in your life over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Numerology, right?
Yeah.
And then you can Google the spiritual meaning. So let's say you're driving to the store and, 2 cardinals fly in front of your car, right? Or 1 cardinal flies in front of your car. You can Google, or whatever platform you use, spiritual meaning of. And you will get this beautiful little message from God that says, you're on the right path, or a little message that says, you're working too hard, or you need some rest, or you need to protect yourself because you're letting yourself get a little bit too spread thin, right? So spiritual meaning of. And then the third little tip for call to action is journaling. You're going to see a theme here. And that is because when you write something down in your own handwriting, you pull it from subconscious and it becomes conscious. And it's effortless, and it's a direct connection between us and God. It's literally so innate and it's so trusted that over time, you will start being able to look back at your journal entries and go, oh my goodness, I've had these 3 things show up time and time again in my path. And that's what I felt. I felt like I was going through a renewal. I felt like I was going to change jobs. And look at all these animals that kept telling me, and these numbers that kept telling me that change is on the way, right? Mm-hmm. So you are really self-teaching and self-aligning in your own intuition by calling on spirit, meaning even if we just start with numerology and whether that's the angels for you, whether that's spirit guides for you, whether that's grandma in heaven or your dear, doggy who passed away, they are all part of the collective of making sure that God's promise is fulfilled, which is you're never alone, right? Mm-hmm. So number 2 is call to action. And then 3, I would say our healing tips are so simple, Stacey. They are almost frustrating. And that is practice. So number 3 is practice. So how are you going to truly be able to trust your intuition if you don't practice not trusting your intuition? Okay. So there is no way, there is no tool that I can give you that will just turn you into trusting your intuition tomorrow. There will be lots of variations and then there will be ebbs and flows. But because we're in a spiral, our incarnation energy is a spiral. And you know this because you keep having the same life lessons and you're like, why does this keep happening to me? Why do I keep attracting relationships that aren't good for me? How come my jobs never work out, right? We've heard these stories, probably even in our own lives in many cases. So we live in a spiral. And when you practice what trusting your intuition doesn't feel like, you are then more capable of feeling the feeling of when you do trust it. Mm-hmm. So you're back into the feeling, which is what we said 10 minutes ago. There is no other way in this earthly experience that you can't buy intuition. You can't go to a class and just learn a new concept and then suddenly tap into trusting. You learn by contrast. You know what love is by having first felt what love was not. We come in as love, but then we get this amnesia veil because we're not God and we're not meant to come in and have all that knowingness. Some of it fades when you're a baby. For me, I stuffed mine, right? Because I didn't open up my gifts fully. But you will only learn to really trust intuition through trusting what it's not. Period. So the sooner you welcome contrast, I just wrote about this morning on Facebook. The sooner you trust and pull in contrast, the more aligned you become. You won't have it by spiritual bypassing. You won't have it by not having difficult conversations. You won't trust your intuition by just staying safe. Mm-hmm. You won't do it. And so this is a really good start to, with God and with these beautiful angels, with these beautiful synchronicities and the animal kingdom and the songs on the radio and get in your car after this podcast and just say, okay, what is the first song on the radio? What do I most need to know now in this moment? And the lyric, the title, the artist, or all the above is going to blow your mind because it's so innate. God, you couldn't bypass it if you tried, but then you've got to trust that through practice. Mm-hmm. There's no other way.
Hey friend, from the previous message, you know I'm all about that low tox life, and Portland Bee Balm is no different. Beyond the amazing quality of their balm, Portland Bee Balm is committed to creating sustainable products, which is hugely important to me. They're members of the 1% for the Planet, which means they donate 1% of revenue to organizations tackling our planet's most pressing environmental issues. And this is amazing. Products that are useful, natural, and add value to people's lives and the world. Portland Bee Balm provides the best hydration for your lips with clean and simple ingredients. I use a lip balm every morning and evening after I wash my face, and Portland Bee Balm has so many different varieties of scents, but my favorite is the Oregon Mint, which is so fresh and clean. The ingredients they source, the packaging that they use, all support health and well-being to the environment and community. It's so awesome. Go to portlandbebalm.com and use this code StacyHeine for 20% off your first order. So I think I don't know, in the last few years, I've kind of had this awakening where I'm like, there's no coincidences. It's God. And I say that to so many people. I'm like, that's not a coincidence. It's just God. And it's like, we don't see the plan. We don't know the plan, but it's part of the plan.
Part of the plan. Mm-hmm.
And also I will say, I just taught my clients on Tuesday about blue and green spaces and the mentality, what happens to your mind scientifically. Pulled out all these different studies showing, look, if you're not connecting to Mother Nature, if you're not getting outside, if you're not breathing the air, if you're not paying attention. I mean, there's even studies, Mindie, showing like,
100%.
It's like so much, right? Like showing that like, yeah, it's good to get outside. It's even better to be in a remote space, but it's even better to have the animals that live in that specific area. Like it's all there.
It's mind-blowing. Yes, it's all there.
It's all there. And then I will also say journaling. Journaling is something that I know there's so much power behind. Mm-hmm. I intend to teach my clients about it literally within the next few weeks. They're entrepreneurs. Like, I know that this is important, and I know it's not just important for them, but it's more important for me because I'm not practicing it right now. And I did practice it in like 2016. And that was one of the most pivotal times in my life. And I found that journal a few days ago and my son was like, what is this? And I was like, oh gosh. And I started reading through it and I'm like, whoa, so much has happened. And I really need to get back to doing this because once you do, you take those ideas out of your mind. You know, I've said to people like, it's okay to like write it on a marker board or to even put it in your phone or to say it out loud. But like taking a pen to paper is real. It's so much more powerful. And you just put the nail in it. Like right now, Stacy, get out the book today and start again because
it's not optional. If you want to expand and live a life of authenticity and joy, I talk a lot about vibrational hypocrisy. And those of us that are called to be on purpose in different spaces, we have to first know that our vibrational hypocrisy has to be pretty clear, right? Because otherwise, even in our well-being and even in our expansion of giving other people tools, it's sort of like, do you want to share 100% of your gifts and abilities and energy with those that you impact and touch, whether it's at the grocery store or on a call or in a workspace? Or do you want to just drip 2 to 3% of your goods into their energy portal? So I said, if we could go and watch ourselves as energy beings, right? First and foremost, you would go, wow, I know it works. Why didn't, and this had to happen so that you could go back and review the journal, which is what practice does. When you can go back to your journal, like I said, and go, oh my gosh, I was in total alignment in those 5 pages of my journal. What happened? It's life and we are meant to be human. So it is meant to be a little messy or a lot messy. It is about ultimate forgiveness over and over and over again of ourselves and even others. And what happens when you take something out of the mind and you put it subconscious energy into writing, it is a contract. See, it's written with God. And if you know anything about law of attraction and law of cause and effect, I call them God's laws because they're written. These are massive studies, which I don't even waste my time and energy, to be honest, because I already know it. But for those that need the scientific research behind it, type law of attraction, type law of cause and effect, type law of abundance. There's unlimited, pray about the guidance that you're going to get, by the way, because there's a lot of stuff that is a little wonky out there, but you will get that confirmation, Stacy, that your own handwriting is the most powerful. And when you take it out of the mind, you declutter, which then allows more. Well, one of the things that happens, and I know this has happened to you, is then you get all these downloads and then you feel a little overwhelmed. And what do I do? And which one do I do? And which one do I not do? And I thought that one was going to really take off. Did I miss something? No. You wrote it down. Then you pray about it. You come to me with any decision, I'm going to give you this guidance: 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months. And some decisions in our life need a 2 to 3 month prayer window.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't help ourselves. We jump in after 2 to 3 days or 2 to 3 weeks, and then it doesn't feel good. And then we wonder what happened. So we've got to pray through, write it down, call to action, signs and symbols. Show me what's working. Show me what's not working. Show me how you're showing. Success is being redefined, as you and I know, every minute of every day. And it's back to how we feel. That is what God's intent for us is, to feel unconditional love and feel that never failing love. And I was going to add, I get so excited talking about this stuff. You know how the most profound sign and symbol on earth, that no matter what religion you are, or where you're at in your spiritual alignment or your healing phases, everyone who sees a rainbow gets excited, right?
Yeah,
and I just think it's not ironic that is God's one sign in the Bible that says, I will not fail you. I will not leave you. That is my sign for you, because it's so profound. And so there could be 100 of us around the globe at the same time seeing a rainbow. And never one of us is like, that's God or that's not God. Or, we don't, it's just, you feel like, oh my gosh, I just asked for a sign, or look, my grandma just passed away. There's universal code for love. And
unbelievable. Sorry, unbelievable. I'm looking over my laptop right now. Sorry.
Is there literally a rainbow?
There's literally a rainbow on my, it's actually my beauty counter thing that I got. I don't think very many people got this. It's a scarf that has multiple rainbows on it. And it has a hand, like a fist, and it says, our future depends on you. And like, done. Okay.
Yeah. It's such a confirmation. It's such confirmation. And so we practice contrast. We strengthen intuition. It's a muscle. It takes time. But even in this earth incarnation, you're going to go and you're going to go and you're going to trust the symbols. You're going to trust the signs. And then you're going to get to a crossroads or a new why, where you get multiple choices. Those are free will choices. Spirit and God are very open to telling me that is the free will choice. Stacey, there's never any right or wrong, no matter what, but there's a difference between a free will choice and maybe a path that you could go down that would offer you more contrast in order to expand and heal. Right. And so entrepreneurs, everybody wants to be entrepreneurs.
Yes, let's get into that.
9 to 5. Yeah, that's a great segue. I want to do all the things entrepreneur. And guess what? Most of the people I'm working with are entrepreneurs. And one of the top ways that we get people back into feeling really good is we put them back into a W-2.
Mm-hmm.
We put them back into a W-2. The systems within the W-2, God has created a lot of opportunity for us, but you will not hear me. And again, I tend to contradict a lot of mainstream energies, but we are not going to be the ones that you come to. Now, I can read what's called your blueprint. This is a document designed that you and God decide long before you come to earth. You choose things like your parents, your obstacles, your life lessons, your lovers, your children, all the things. And I have an incredible story, which I don't think I've ever shared publicly, about when God brought this to my life, and he kept calling it God's list. And I didn't know what it was called. God just told me that's what it was. And I was granted access to what I now know. Again, this was long ago. So I now know what it is, which is your blueprints. That is what you choose in this incarnation and also in all other time, space realities. When you choose that, you don't choose life lessons to be an entrepreneur or a W-2er. What you choose is the life lessons. And yes, in entrepreneurship, it can be a space where you get a lot of opportunity to play and a lot of opportunity for freedoms. But I think you could probably agree in this space, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever do in life. Mm-hmm. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everyone to stay in. So if we're awakening from the systems of get a job, go to college, graduate, get married, have babies, and then work for 30 years. If we're having aversions to that system, Stacy, then we would have to ask ourselves, why are we also not having aversions to entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of people come to me in different places of their path, and entrepreneurship is overwhelming. It is, things are not clicking emotionally, spiritually, financially. It's actually pulling them away from balance. And, but because there has been sort of a vibrational bubble about women of power and women entrepreneurs and women can do it all themselves, I typically counter that narrative with messages from God. And I put people into a space of balance. So sometimes, and very often recently, as we all know what we're going through, I have people feeling their best, aligning in their purpose by utilizing their gifts in a space that honors who they are and where they're at. And we don't go too far into the future, pun intended, coming from a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
We stay very present moment. And the healing that comes with that is profound. It's very emotional for those people, because just like everybody's sifting and sorting as to the boxes of religion and of politics and of marriage and the sanctity of marriage and all of these buckets that we sort of have to sift and sort every day, the one thing that God wants for every person is to not feel like cold calling and networking and all these heavy driven intentions in entrepreneurship. It's pulling them away from God. And so it is, I said there'd be a little bit of a different storyline that I don't know anybody else talking about this as publicly as I have been. And ironically enough, I work with entrepreneurs every day, and I myself am an entrepreneur. And so I love that you and I are opening up some new dialogue, because it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for everyone all the time. What we come here to do is to expand and explore all aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we have so many women doing side gigs and direct sales. But I want people to know that you can have your cake and eat it too. And entrepreneurship is not a social status that it's been projected.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of my folks are in entrepreneur roles, and they are about as hollowed out as a tree as I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And I'm always blessed when we can find a happy medium, in what that can look like. But stability is required for surrender. Innately, when we have a little bit of stability in our energy field, we're more likely to surrender. When we are unstable, we grip. That's vibrational law. It's just what happens.
I feel like that's going to be the soundbite.
Yeah.
That was really good. Okay. So say that again. When you are stable,
when you have some stability, not even full stability, but when you have some stability,
you can surrender.
You can surrender. I got goosies on my cheeks, right? It just opens us up to faith and surrender, which is God, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we don't feel stable in any of our energy bodies, we grip.
Yeah.
We grip, particularly as women who are intuitive, more sensitive to energy. We're all intuitive. But when you're more sensitive, you're a little further in your blueprint, in your expansion, we grip.
Mm-hmm.
We grip. And then we call it solution focused, and we call it multitasking. And it's been praised. It's been praised by our world. And if you really get back to the land, which is what God wants for us all, surrender. It's not, how do I say this? Our world started going in the wrong direction vibrationally and consciously when we pulled man and woman off the land. Both. First, our men got pulled by way of war.
Mm-hmm.
See, they just got yanked out. We became unstable. And then there was this movement of women be superwoman, be all the things, Pinterest moms, entrepreneur, direct sales, do it. We pluck them out.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can say is, when you look at the world galactically and globally, how does it feel?
Mm.
It's not awesome, Stacy.
Right.
It's not awesome.
Divided.
And then what we try to do is a layer of the narrative of then we pulled the women out, and that was the problem. But if you really go back and you sit with God, you'll get these messages just like I and many of my dearest counterparts in this earth experience. When we separated humanity from the land, both, doesn't matter, man and woman, we lost part of ourselves, that innate, that oneness. Because God speaks through the trees, God speaks through the land, God speaks through the waters. And that's where vibrational hypocrisy has exploded and really hijacked all things since about the late 1800s. There were seeds being planted in some of those lower vibrational spaces, but really it was the late 1800s and now this century. But if you don't surrender, you can't have faith. You can't have faith, you don't have peace. Or you say you have faith and you'll profess to the world you're in faith, but it won't feel like faith. And I know that because of the confidentiality that my clients share with me. And I know your clients too, we sort of, even at the grocery store, they're the people who just come up and tell you their world and are so comfortable because they feel that light within you. Mm-hmm. So our greatest gift to ourselves and of God is to be the hands and feet through surrender. It's the slow down to speed up that I'm all on right now. Slow down to speed up. And that's the entrepreneur energy as well. So that's my heart-based message of the day.
Love it. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. Mind blowing, Mindie. I also taught a session on slow down to speed up. Literally it was called that. So anyways, all of the alignment, all of the things, gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. But we're all coming into those, right? They're just floating around here. Right. And then you pick it up when and then you had to learn that by not slowing down and by gripping, right? Yeah. And pushing and pushing and pushing. And then you slow down, but you have to, now you're going to stay in that space of groundedness and centeredness even further yourself so that then others can benefit from that knowing. Not just seeing it, right? But a true knowing of it. And that's vibrational alignment.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. So, all right. I could ask you questions all day long, but I have one last question. Okay. Mindie, I ask everybody this question and I can't wait to hear what you say. No pressure, but I don't, there's usually usually two different ways this goes. And I'm super interested to see what it means to you. So, okay. What does holistic living mean to you?
Oh, this is a good one. What does holistic living mean to me? Easy and effortlessly, I say holistic living is in balance with the Aina. So you cannot, once you realize that we are part of the Aina holistically, you will never see yourself as separate again. Holistic living is not just what you eat or what you put into your mind or what you allow your physical and spiritual bodies to be around, but it's your belief systems. It's your connection to God. Mm-hmm. So holistic living, I think, has been pigeonholed a little bit into crunchy granola, homesteading. But I know homesteaders that are further from the Aina. Mm-hmm. It's hypocrisy. And so for me, it's the oneness with the Aina and not in perfection, because we're not here to be perfect. Mm-hmm. But when you learn something new or try something out, that's holistic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when you honor how you feel, to me, is holistic living. Because if you don't know the heart or you've never gotten into the depths of your heart, there's nothing whole about that living from a mindset only.
Unbelievable. Okay. So good. Friend, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate you. And I can't wait to get this message out. I think it's going to be pivotal for so many who hear you. And where can we stay connected to you, Mindie? Where can we follow you? Of course, we'll put all your links in the show notes, but
yeah. So I'm on mindieadamos.com. All those links will be shared. I'm on social media. I spend a majority of my energy in Facebook and Instagram these days, mostly Facebook. That's where I'm doing my lives, all of the things. I wanted to mention, we were talking about law of attraction and alignment. And I do have an online class coming up on Tuesday. That's a little, it's a minimal investment for a huge reward on law of attraction. It's called Menu to God. And so if people want to really get a taste of how God and I are so connected, that would be a good one to come into. That's available on my website under the events tab. But I'm on social media. I know you'll pop the links below. I share a little bit of everything. You're not going to find sort of a business only page, although I do have a couple of Facebook pages, but hop on my email list. I don't blast anybody with anything other than some major events that happen. And of course, all my services are available online too.
Love it. Yeah. You have a beautiful website and you have a great menu of offerings. And I have personally worked with Mindie. If you feel the calling or the nudge, or you're like, oh my God, I need this woman in my life, just do it, because I promise you will benefit.
Sure.
And Tuesday, the
April 26th.
April 26th. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? We're going to air this on the 26th. So let's just do that. Let's do that. So see if we can get any last minute people to join in on that. Okay. Well, we'll put the link in the show notes for that too. So Mindie, thank you again.
You love.
Dear one, you are amazing. I appreciate
You're amazing. You. Thank you for having me, love. It's so good to be with you today.
We will talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
I'm over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of The Urban Pharmacy. For today's show notes, head on over to theurbanpharmacy.com and be sure to join us inside our private Facebook group called The Urban Pharmacy, where we share inspiration, live trainings, and holistic living tips to help you build community and the healthy lifestyle that you've always wanted. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and please consider leaving us a 5-star review. Before we connect again on the next show, follow me on Instagram at The Urban Pharmacy. That's urban with an H and pharmacy with an F. And I can't wait to hear your wellness journey as we get to know each other better. You know, there's truly no better time than now to level up your life. And I am so proud of you for showing up today. Until next time, be well, Health Crusader.